Welcome into the Talking Fantasy Baseball Podcast Midweek Minutes Edition, our 25th episode. It is Tuesday, June 17th, and my name is Eric Henriksen. On each Midweek Minutes, we'll be bringing you the biggest news and notes you need to know. But before we get started, if you haven't done so already, please subscribe. We're available on all major podcast platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Amazon Music, and the Odyssey app. And give us a like, leave us a 5-star rating or a thumbs up. It really helps us out a lot. So with that out of the way, let's jump right in. Generational talent Shohei Ohtani made his return to the mound last night. 21 months after his second Tommy John surgery, he pitched 1 inning and gave up 1 run on 2 hits. He also went 2 for 4 at the plate, so I guess he got those 2 hits back. I expect him to be limited on the mound for the foreseeable future because he didn't have a rehab assignment, and manager Dave Roberts has been quoted saying that he was too valuable to send out to the minors on a rehab assignment, so he's going to get his rehab assignment in the majors as an opener for now, build up that pitch count, so it'll probably be a month and a half before we see full starts from Shohei Ohtani, and you got to believe that the Dodgers are going to be really cautious with him. Anyway, Ben Kasparius was the one who had the bulk role after Ohtani, and he pitched 3 2/3 innings, and we'd really like to see Kasparius get a shot at being a full-time regular starter. So we'll see what happens. In a shocking blockbuster, the Red Sox traded Rafi Devers to the Giants for Kyle Harrison, Jordan Hicks, outfield prospect James Tibbs III, and rookie ball pitcher Jose Bello. Tibbs was the 13th overall pick in last year's draft, and what this trade does is clear a path for all of Boston's big prospects, Christian Campbell, Marcelo Meyer, and Roman Anthony, to remain on the Major League roster. Now, what does this do for Devers fantasy-wise? Probably lowers his ceiling and his floor a little bit, but not much. I mean, you're talking about a guy who hits the ball very hard, who pulls the ball a lot. I can't imagine that not dealing with the pesky pole and that big right field in Boston won't be beneficial to Devers. I mean, yes, you've got the high wall in right field, but he's the biggest left-handed power bat that they've had in a long time, and I just think that it's not going to alter his outlook too much. I think this is a good move for Devers and a great move for my Yankees because he was just a Yankee killer. Kyle Harrison, we've seen, is nothing special yet. His fastball is average and his secondaries are below average, but the Red Sox have been really good in changing, or I should say, in helping pitchers who have that kind of pitch repertoire to develop those secondaries to be more efficient and to make them better. So possibly a boost for Kyle Harrison, and Jordan Hicks is what he is. And I think the real return here is James Tibbs III, who is showing great plate discipline and bat-to-ball skills at the high A level so far this year in his first year of professional baseball. The real thing here, and why the return might not seem so great for the Red Sox, is that the Giants are taking on Devers' entire contract, like all of the remaining salary. They're going to pay 100% of it. So, to do that, you give a little bit less. So, again, I don't think this really moves the needle much for Devers. He's too good of a player. And perhaps Kyle Harrison turns into a more usable fantasy option. And then Thibs in a year or two might become something. The Angels last week promoted Christian Moore, the 8th overall pick in last year's draft. They promote prospects very, very quickly, whether they're ready or not. Once they think that they're ready for a level, they promote them. So Christian Moore going from AAA to the majors, he does still have a lot of holes in his swing, and I'm not sure he's ready. So despite the complete lack of talent at the second base position this season, I'm not sure that Christian Moore is the answer for your teams if you have a hole at that position. The Brewers traded Aaron Savali after he requested a trade. They traded him to the White Sox for Andrew Vaughn, who had been sent down to AAA earlier in the season. And last week, Josh and I talked about Andrew Vaughn and how he just has not turned into what we thought he was going to be. He was the 3rd overall pick in his draft, was supposed to be part of that White Sox roster that had Eloy Jimenez, Luis Robert, and him as the big 3 bats in that order. And he is just not panned out at all. And I guess if you're Aaron Savali, maybe you regret asking for a trade, but I bet financially it'll work out for him in the long run. But Andrew Vaughn could be a depth piece for the Brewers, could be an answer at first base if they can get him figured out, but really nothing actionable here fantasy-wise. On the injury front, Shane Bieber received good news that nothing is structurally wrong with his elbow, and he will resume his rehab after throwing a bullpen session sometime this week. He had to pause it last week because he felt something in his surgically repaired elbow, which he had Tommy John surgery last year. But he met with the doctor who performed that surgery, and there was no structural issues at all with his elbow. And he was told that general soreness is to be expected, so he'll resume his rehab shortly, and that could be a good boost for fantasy managers with the return of a former fantasy ace later in the season. If you can stash Bieber, do it now. He looked good in his limited rehab assignment so far, so there's a chance that Bieber comes back and is helpful for your rotations once he's built up. And lastly, Will Vest should be available after a disastrous outing on Sunday due to something being wrong with his pinky. He uncorked a wild pitch, and then they took him out of the game, and it was reported that it was his pinky that was bothering him, which I think is interesting. But he's expected to avoid the injured list and should be available, if not today, within a day or two. So that's good news if you have Will Vest rostered as one of your closers. He's been very good this season overall. But that does it for this edition of Midweek Minutes. Josh and I will be back later in the week with an all-new full-length episode, so please subscribe. We're available on all major podcast platforms. Like I said, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Amazon Music, and the Odyssey app. Also, give us a like, a 5-star rating, a kind review. We will read them all, and if there's anything you want us to talk about, drop us a message. For Talking Fantasy Baseball's Midweek Minutes, I'm Eric saying, see you next time.